Hi students, good morning to all. I hope you all are well and fine at home. Welcome you all to our today's science class. Do you remember what we learned in the last class? Okay, we learned about heat, temperature, and the tool we used to measure the temperature, that is thermometer. We discussed about the various thermometer, clinical thermometer, laboratory thermometer, maximum minimum thermometer, and digital thermometer. Isn't it? Okay. Then can you define heat? What is heat? Heat is a form of energy. We can define heat very easily. It is a form of energy. Then what is temperature? It is a measurement of hotness or coldness of a body. Then which are the sources of heat? Yes, the sun is the ultimate source of energy. We know that. Sun gives us heat and light. The other sources like fire, electricity, fuels like wood, coal, gases, etc. How can we differentiate heat and temperature? Let us look. Heat is a form of energy. It raises the temperature of the body. It measures by using Celsius scale, Fahrenheit scale, or Kelvin scale. But temperature, it measures the heat energy level of a body. It decides the direction of transfer of heat in a body. We can measure temperature by using Celsius scale or Fahrenheit scale. Celsius scale was devised by the Swedish astronomer Anders Celsius in the year 1742. He fixed the temperature of boiling of water as 0 degrees Celsius and of freezing water as 100 degrees Celsius. But soon the measurement reversed. The boiling point as 100 degrees Celsius and the melting point of ice is 0 degree Celsius. That we are following. The boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius and the melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius. That all we understood. You might have observed a frying pan or a vessel becomes hot when we kept on a flame. What is the reason? It is because the heat transfers from flame to the vessel or a pan. Same like when we are removing the frying pan or vessel from the flame, after some time it cools down. Why does it cool down? Because the heat transferring from these hot objects to the surroundings. Another example like hot steaming cup of tea kept standing for some time. We can see that the tea becomes cool. What is the reason? Here also, the heat transferring from the tea to the surroundings. And let us look another example. Take a glass of cool drink. Let that open at some time. then what may happen? The coolness of the drink may be reduced. What may be the reason? It is because there is a temperature variation between the room or the surrounding and the cool drink. In this situation, the temperature of the surrounding is more than that of the cool drink. The heat passes from the surrounding into the cool drink. That is why the cool drink becomes less cool. In all these examples, we can understand that the heat passes or transfer from hotter object to the colder object. In fact, in all cases, heat passes from hotter object to the colder object. Then how does heat flow? Let us investigate. For that, we have to know more about transfer of heat. Today, let us start the new topic, transfer of heat. Okay. Children, there are various methods for transfer of heat. To know more about the transfer of heat, we have to do one activity that is given in the textbook, the activity 4.6. For that, we need a rod or a flat strip of metal, either aluminium or iron, and some wax pieces, one canteen, and also one stand. We have to take the metal rod, and fix some wax pieces at equal distances like this, and clamp this rod on a stand. If stand is not available, means we can place this rod in between two bricks. Okay. Then heat one end of this end of the rod by using a candle. What happened to the wax pieces? Do they begin to fall? And which piece falls first? Let us look. When we are heating this iron rod, first this end of the rod becomes hot. Then that heat passes from here to here, here to here like this. And last it reaches the end point of the rod. When heat passes from this end to here, the first wax piece begins to fall. This wax piece falls first because this end becomes hot at first. Then the heat passes here and it reaches here, means the second wax piece falling. Then third one, fourth one, fifth one, like that. This is because here the iron rod allow heat to pass from this end to the other end. This type of transfer of heat from the hotter end to the colder end of an object is called as conduction. This is one of the method of heat transfer, that is conduction, the process by which transfer of heat from hotter end to the colder end of an object, that is called conduction. We know that all substances are made of smaller particles called atoms. Here, iron rod is a substance. It is in solid state, isn't it? Like this is a solid state, hard to touch. So we can say that it is solid. Here, the particles or atoms are arranged very closely, tightly arranged. In solids, the atoms are arranged tightly, whereas in liquid, some loosely they are arranging, but in gases, they are very loosely arranged. Okay, here, when the heat is passing from the flame of the candle to here, this end, these atoms start to vibrate. And they stay in their own place. They are not moving. They only pass heat from them to the other. Then this heat passing from these atoms to the next atom, then that atom become vibrate and stay in their own place. They are not moving. They only passes the heat. And these substances here, heat passing from this hotter end to the colder end. It is because of the transfer of heat by the process of conduction. Then how can we define conduction? Conduction, it is the method by which heat is transferred from hotter end to the colder end of an object. Is it clear? Conduction means transfer of heat from the hotter end to the colder end of an object, that we can term as conduction. Do all substances conduct heat easily? To know about that, we have to do another activity. For that, you have to heat water in a pan or a beaker and collect some articles like steel spoon, pencil, scale and one pen. Take some hot water in a tumbler or a glass and dip all these articles one end in this hot water. Wait for some time and then touch the other end of the objects like this. Then you can find out some objects are not hot but some are hot. This is because substances are transferring heat in various speed. The speed of transfer of heat or passage of heat is different in various substances. Some substances are pass heat very easily, whereas some are pass very slowly. Okay. As per this, the passage of heat through substances, the substances are divided into two types. The materials which allow heat to pass through them easily are called conductors. Means the substances which conduct heat easily or speedily, we can term as conductors. Whereas some materials, they allow the heat to pass through them very slowly. They are termed as poor conductors or insulators. Okay. Children, conductors means materials which allow heat to pass through them very easily. Usually, all metals are good conductors. They conduct the heat easily, like iron, aluminium, copper, etc. Whereas some materials which do not allow heat to pass through them easily are known as insulators or poor conductors. For example, paper, wood, plastic, rubber, etc. You must have observed while your mother holding hot pan or vessel by using cotton cloths. What may be the reason? When we using cotton clothes means the cotton clothes are insulators. They not allow heat to pass through them very easily. That is why we can hold the hot pan or vessel without having any hurt. Okay. Can you take a frying pan without using clothes like that? We cannot. Never try to do. Because it may hurt. Sometimes we may get burned. The heat passes from hotter object to the colder objects. Okay. You might have observed that the metallic vessels or frying pan having handle which is made of wood or plastic. Now I think that answer also you know. What is the answer? Why the handle of these metallic utensils are made of wood or plastic? That is because of their poor conduction of heat. Otherwise, when we holding these hot utensils, we may get burned. Is it clear now, children? All of you clear? The wood or plastic materials do not allow heat to pass through them easily. That is why we can avoid the accidents by burning. You should hold the hot pan or objects only by using either paper or by using cotton cloths. They are insulators, not allowed to pass heat easily through them. Okay, it is very clear that some substances are conductors, but some are insulators. Water and air are poor conductors of heat. Then, how does heat flows through these substances? Let us find out. To know the heat flow through fluids or liquids, we have to do one activity which is given in our textbook. That is 4.8. For that, we have to take round bottom flask. Now, round bottom flask is not available with us. So, we have to take one beaker or a tea pan and take 3/4 of water in that beaker. And you have to put on flame. After some minutes, you have to add 2-3 drops of blue ink or red ink into that water. When water is heated, the water molecules near the flame gets hot and these water molecules rises up. At the same time, the cold water molecules from the surface of the water and from the sides coming downwards, they also gets hot and moves up. This process is continuous. It is a beaker. Here is a flame. Here is a flame. Then here all water having. When we heating the water, the molecules near the flame gets hot and moves up. It rises up. Into that area, the cold water molecules are coming like this. So the cycling of water molecules is continuous when the whole water gets heated. it is continuously moving like this. There is a cycle is forming. That is because of heat current. Due to this heat current, water molecules are moving in a cyclic manner until the whole water gets heated. Okay. And this movement of molecules due to the transfer of heat. This type of transfer of heat take place by the bulk movement of molecules in a fluid or liquid is termed as convection. What is convection? The convection means the transfer of heat take place in liquids and also in gases. There we can see there is a cyclic movement of gaseous particles or liquid particles. Mainly through liquids and gases, the heat transferred by the method of convection. Is it clear? Then if you want to clear more, you have to observe when your mother making tea, you have to observe the passage of water molecules. The water molecules from the down part moves up. Into that area, the colder water molecules are coming. Again, they get heat. Again, goes up. Like that, we can see there is a circular movement of water molecules. You have to observe. Did you? Okay. Then, how does heat transfer take place in gases? In gases also, the gaseous particles near the flames gets hot and they rises up. Into that area, the colder particles are coming. Again, they get hot and moves up. Same like a convection also take place. Convection also take place. There are other methods also there. The transfer of heat in gases we can study in the next class. Today, we can revise what we have learned. Today, we discussed about transfer of heat. Usually, the heat transferred from hotter object to the colder object. In solids, the heat is transferring by the method of conduction, where transfer of heat from hotter end of the object to the colder end of the object. Metals are good conductors. As per the conductivity, materials are divided into two: conductors and insulators. The materials which allow heat to pass through them easily are called conductors. Examples: metals. The materials which do not allow heat to pass through them easily are called insulators. For examples: paper, wood, mica, plastic, rubber, etc. Is it clear? Next we discussed about convection. That is, transfer of heat take place in liquids, mainly through convection. Okay.
Transfer of heat, conduction. Objectives: to see the different modes of heat transfer. Definition of conduction of heat. To understand how conduction occurs. We receive heat from the sun. A vessel kept on a burner gets heated on the top even though the flame is at the bottom of the vessel. Now, if we pour some water into this vessel, then the entire amount of water gets heated, in spite of the flame being at the bottom of the vessel. In all three instances, heat is getting transferred from one point to the other point. But how does this heat transfer occur? Basically, heat gets transferred by three modes: conduction, convection, and radiation. We shall first see the conduction mode of heat transfer. Let us take a look at a simple experiment. With the help of wax, stick nails at equal intervals on an iron rod. Now, heat one end of the rod. You can find that within some time, the nail nearest to the heated end falls off. After some time, the nail next to it falls off. In this order, all the nails fall off the rod with time. Why does this happen? The iron rod is made up of atoms, which are constantly in close contact with each other. When the rod is heated from one end, the atom which is near the flame gets heated first. Then, this atom, while remaining in its position, transfers heat to the adjacent atoms. These atoms, in turn, transfer heat to the next atoms. Similarly, loosely bound electrons also transfer heat energy. The free electrons, after acquiring the heat energy, drift through the metals and transfer heat energy by colliding with other atoms, as well as other free electrons within the metal rod. When the point where the nail is stuck to the rod gets heated, the wax melts and the nail falls off. As the heat continues to get transferred through the rod, the nail falls off. In this way, heat gets transferred through the rod. This type of heat transfer is called conduction. Hence, conduction is defined as the process of heat transfer, where heat is transferred from one atom to the other without the actual displacement of atoms. Hence, when conduction happens, two characters come into play: atoms, or molecules and electrons. Conduction occurs mostly in solids like metals. Let us perform another simple activity. Take a test tube filled with water. Take a piece of ice and wrap a copper wire around it. On dropping this ice piece into the test tube, it settles to the bottom of the test tube. Now hold the test tube in a tilted position over a burner. The water at the top of the test tube starts getting heated. As we continue heating the test tube, the water at the top starts boiling. But still the ice at the bottom of the test tube does not melt. This means that water at the bottom has not yet been heated, and heat is not yet transferred to the bottom. This experiment clearly shows that liquids do not conduct heat as easily as solid, because the molecules of liquid are not arranged in close contact with each other. In comparison to liquids, gases fare even worse while conducting heat. But how does heat get transferred in liquids? Heat transfer in liquid takes place by a phenomenon called convection.
Transfer of heat by convection. In this module, you will learn about the transfer of heat by convection. Water is boiled by heating it under the container. It cannot be done by heating it from the side or from the top. This is because of the peculiar way heat is transferred in liquids. Let us perform an activity to demonstrate the transfer of heat in liquids and gases. The items required for this activity are a round bottom flask, tripod stand, candle, matchbox, straw, potassium permanganate crystals, and water. Fill approximately 2/3 of the flask with water and place it on the tripod stand. Wait till the water in the flask is still. Now, with the help of a straw, gently place a crystal of potassium permanganate at the bottom of the flask. Now, heat the water by placing the lighted candle just below the crystal. Carefully look at the pattern in which the pink color spreads. Directly above the flame, it goes up, but it sinks at the sides. Why does this happen? When water is heated, the water near the flame gets hot and rises up. The cold water from the sides moves down towards the source of heat. This cold water then gets hot and rises up. This process continues until the whole water attains the same temperature. This kind of heat transfer is known as convection.
Children, I hope all of you understood today's topic. This is the time to wind up today's session. See you again. Thank you.